Milton Johnson, better known as the Weekend Murderer, is an American serial killer whose crimes took place over the course of 2.5 months and included at least 10 known victims, and of those victims, included two police officers in the summer of 1983. Milton Johnson was born in Joliet, Illinois on May 15th, 1950. Not much is known about his early life. No known children, no known marriages. But at nearly 20 years of age, he committed his first known crime. Milton tortured and raped a woman during a burglary and was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. You would think that would hold him for a while. However, the authorities thought this was fit to return to society, and therefore he was released early. Actually, he was released 3 years before he was even due to become eligible for parole. He was released March 10th, 1983, and he moved in with his parents, his biological mother, and her husband, his stepfather. It did not take long for him to continue his crimes. Just 3.5 months after his release, on June 25th, 1983, he stabbed and shot two elderly sisters, then burned their bodies. A week after those murders, he murdered a couple in their home and dumped the wife's body in a nearby Cook County. At this time, the authorities had no handle on whom committed these murders, but the city and the police were on high alert. The police tried all that they could to find the killer. Milton Johnson was determined to continue his killing spree. He tricked a car into pulling over by hitting them in the back bumper of their vehicle. And when the driver pulled over to assess the damage, Milton quickly and swiftly killed the 25-year-old driver. His name was Richard Paulin, and his girlfriend, Kathleen Norwood, 25 years old, was taken. Before he could flee the screen, officers stopped, thinking they would assist him because his truck appeared stuck. Milton then killed 32-year-old Deputy Steve Meyer, and he shot 50-year-old Sergeant Dennis Foley in the throat. Fortunately, Foley was able to drive away in the police car, but when he radioed for help, his words were not clear. It sounded like garble. There was gurgling sounds. Foley was instructed to turn on his sirens, which he did. He saw a car and tried to flag them down. However, Milton was not far away. Milton then shot at the vehicle as it was trying to approach and help the officer's car. The driver of that vehicle was 24-year-old George Kyle, and his female passenger was injured. As the car came to a stop, the injured female passenger, although injured, was able to safely flee, although George Kyle was killed when shot by Milton Johnson. Milton Johnson was clearly on a mission to kill. As Sergeant Foley died from his injuries, Milton continued his crime spree. He found a couple sleeping in the car near the highway. He gently tapped on the window to awaken them, and as soon as they arose, he quickly killed the driver, Anthony Hackett, then forced his girlfriend, Patricia Payne, to hand over Hackett's wallet before forcibly abducting her and sexually assaulting and raping her. After raping her, he continued driving before stopping and stabbing her and then throwing her body out of the car. Thankfully, a passing car saw her and was able to take her to the hospital where her life was saved. Although Patricia Payne was shown nearly 1,500 mugshots, she picked out nearly 42 that resembled Milton Johnson. Then, after a six-person lineup, which included six of those people that were in the 42 that she picked out, they were in a lineup and were required to repeat commands. Afterwards, she positively identified Milton Johnson as the person that had did the assault. The police began to put together whom they thought was the killer. They had a seriously promising lead when Ann Shoemaker reported an incident in which a car was attempting to get her to pull over. She and her friend were able to get the license plate of the vehicle, which was a truck, and they reported that truck, year, make, model, color, and license plate number to the police. The truck was traced to the registered owner, which was Milton Johnson's stepfather. Apparently, the stepfather was only able to allow him to use his truck on the weekends, and that is why his crimes were always committed on the weekends, hence being called the weekend murderer. After his stepfather, Sam Myers, approved for the police to search his truck, numerous pieces of evidence were collected, including bloodstains, fibers, 357 Magnum cartridges, and receipts. The police had enough evidence to search the residence. On March 9th, 1984, Milton Johnson was apprehended, and following a jury trial, he was convicted and sentenced to death. The death sentence was later commuted to life in prison after the state abolished the death penalty. He is currently serving out his sentence at the Menard Correctional Facility.